It looks like Ubisoft is back to doing damage control, and this time for a different game you may not have heard of, at least not very much, because while it's a shooter, they don't have that many players, or they haven't been able to retain many. Of course, we're talking about XDefiant on That Game Plays. Hi friends, it's me, CC, here once again for That Game Plays, and my pal Nolan Thunder is joining us today. How's it going, my friend?
It's going awesome. I'm hyped to talk about XDefiant.
I don't know about that. Have you seen the numbers? Oh.
Well, I said talk about it, not play it.
Well, nobody's playing it, or less people are playing it. Let's be fair. I don't want to be too hyperbolic in saying XDefiant executive producers claiming, hey, Ubisoft has no plans to shut down after season 4, but admits that the numbers are down. Well, yeah, they're down significantly. And if you compare this game to something like Fortnite, which, has been averaging a little over 1,300,000 players, at least average daily players on a given day, this game doesn't even come close. So Mark Rubin, the executive producer on Ubisoft's live service free-to-play shooter XDefiant, responded to rumors claiming that the company has no plans to shut down after season 4. Well, why? I mean, Ruben posted to X to be crystal clear, because of the rumors that have been floating around lately, that there are no plans to shut down after season 4. I've literally been in meetings as of last week to discuss our year 2 plans, because they really laid out a 4-season plan. We're in season 2 now, moving to season 3. And he continued to say, but right now we're super focused on improving the technical experience, which includes netcode, and adding more content in seasons 3 and 4. However, he did admit the numbers are down. We have done very little marketing. Well, yeah, because you're gushing, money from every direction. So yes, our numbers are down, but that is just to give the team the time to get the game in a better place before we do bigger spends on marketing to bring new players to the game and bring back players that have left. Nolan, if you're building a game and it's less than a year old, I think it just launched in May, should you be trying to bring players back?
I mean, that was pretty quick. I mean, first impressions are very important. And if you already have, like with a live service game compared to, a more traditional purchase, like I understand, especially, if you're older, you get very busy lives, myself included here. You buy the game when it comes out, play for like a month, and then, you dip, you're on to other things. And it makes sense, that certain games wouldn't have a huge player base, a few months later. A game like this is a live service game, and we're literally have several season passes in by now, expensive season passes, mind you. There should be tons of content, and I as you saw in the screenshots here, this game actually has some pretty cool art. I like the cat ears, like the goggles with the hair, the pink guns. I think it's actually kind of creative, so I'm not just here to play the Bastion Ubisoft game. But I will say that if you have gone down that far in your numbers for a live service game in less than a year, I think you should be focusing a bit more on what can we do in the now to make what we currently have accessible to our players, as opposed to looking too far off in the future. Because if you are more, to use a sports analogy here, if you're thinking about running up the field before you even catch the ball, well, you're not going to get any results. It's not going to do anyone any favors.
Yeah, and I think that's absolutely the truth. And of course, Ruben's post is a direct response from a rumor from Sean Weber, otherwise known as Just for Leaks 2, who claimed that it was possible the game might get shut down at the end of season 4 if it didn't increase player counts. Well, I don't know that Ubisoft has a ton of money to spend on marketing right now. And he wrote, XDefiant's already dead. He said Ubisoft research team is actively asking their tester to have another in-house test session and repeat their feedback. Well, Ubisoft doesn't listen to feedback at all. They are a corporation of what's that term, Nolan? Toxic positivity? Is that right?
Yeah, like they are very much an echo chamber compared to some of their criticisms. We've seen a lot here the past several months with Assassin's Creed. They've had a lot of viable criticisms, not just one person coming out of the woodwork being like, hey, this game is bad because it's different. Literally so many different kinds of camps, both culturally and play styles, like in many different backgrounds are calling out Assassin's Creed for what they've done, and they've done extremely little, if not next to nothing, to heal the wounds of that. XDefiant, meanwhile, over here is probably not getting as much attention as it needs. And how bad is the budget right now? We're already talking about season 4, and the game hasn't been out uh, for a year at this point. That's not a good faith for your fan base you already have at all. This looks like a disaster looming, and I know they're trying to put out this stuff where it's like, hey guys, no, it's good. We're planning. Blue sky concepts can happen all the time. Some of the greatest concepts ever never got made. And I don't think it's going to make it as far as they want it to go. And I appreciate their imagination with it. But if the sales aren't there, I don't think they're going to get the backing to do it.
Well, and the strange thing is we already kind of had a footprint or a path forward for the first 4 seasons of this game, which we're going to get into year 2, which will be back in May. But we're 5 months into this game, Nolan, and as the article here points out, this rumor didn't come out of left field. The CEO Yves Guillemot revealed that the company's most recent trading update call, that the sales for XDefiant were below expectations. It was leading the companies to significantly reduce their net bookings for its second quarter. They've literally had a game every quarter that they could point to for the reason why they're financially just bleeding money. And during that call, I mean, you had Nicholas Langlet of BNP Paribas question, so the Q2 guidance is only Star Wars Outlaws, or is it something else underperforming in the portfolio? And Guimont actually said, it most reflects the softer than expected sales for the terrible Star Wars game that we made. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, I paraphrased that. We also had behind expectations for XDefiant, which we will give you a bit more details at the end of October. Well, guess what? That call is coming up here soon. We might actually see several people cover it, even though it's going to be at a weird time for us here in the United States. So, between Valiant and myself and many others tied to that Park Place, be on the lookout for us talking about just how poorly Ubisoft performed. But, it's largely driven by these terrible games with this terrible political basis that's been basically destroying Ubisoft as a company.
The deeper you go, the more and more it actually makes sense why they ended up delaying Assassin's Creed, because it's not too often a studio has this many big budget games all coming out so close to each other that literally next time you're having an investor call, they can be like, okay, here's our 12 examples of everything you've done wrong, as opposed to it's here's our big flop and here's everything else you're doing that's making us upset. It's okay, Star Wars, here's XDefiant, here's etc. If you have literally, it's like you're getting in trouble with your parents and you didn't clean your room, but you also at the same time also got in a fight with your sister, you'll let the dog out. It's going to keep piling, and the sympathy is, their patients are only this much left.
Yeah, and that's kind of where they're at. I mean, the game launched on May 21st, and during the first 2 weeks, it acquired 10 million players. So it did really well initially. And again, this is, Fortnite / Call of Duty on crack is probably the best way to describe it. and if you're not quick with your mouse or controller, you're going to get smoked. So, I mean, you have to be like an ADD freak show in order to be good at this game. So the game outperformed expectations initially, but then it collapsed. The number of people that came in and did the first 2.5 hours, at 8 million in the first week, that's amazing. Except that right now the game has been struggling to obtain 20,000 concurrent players across all platforms. And when you compare that 20,000 to what the average daily usage is on Fortnite, which is again 1.3 million plus, that's not good enough. I mean, the average concurrent players on Fortnite is in the hundreds of thousands, whereas this is 20,000.
And let's be real here. a lot of these shooters right now are, because this is the nature of the gaming industry. I'm sure this actually goes back farther, but we've seen a lot of games fail because they've all tried to be GTA 5, or a lot of games in recent years really fail because they all want to be Fortnite. They all want to get in on that live service money, and all these studios just keep wanting to back these projects. And they are imploding. And the difference is, if this was like a smaller studio where the game's a lot cheaper to make, 20,000 might not be the worst. But Ubisoft is one of the biggest names in the game. And for its next, edition of the Fortnite killer, so to speak, to implode this quickly in less than a year. And as we've seen with the season passes, it was probably somewhere in those statistics as a way to, cover some of their investment, with this DLC, season pass, all that stuff. If that stuff is also not catching it, you've lost not only the boat, but you've lost the lifeboats with it. And
Yeah.
I want to know what the headline's going to be when we finally hit the 1 year anniversary of this game.
But I think you used the right word, which is implode. And again, this will be the final word on this particular story because I won't have to say anything else. Inside of 12 weeks, this game fell dramatically, just very, very quickly. And I will note, the XDefiant Xbox player count alone has dropped an incredible 94%. And the shooter itself sits at 81st place on the chart at True Achievements, which is telling. That was all the way back in September, as a matter of fact, the middle of September, which is, more than a month ago now, a month and a half ago. This game's dead meat, and I don't think they're ever going to bring it back. Now, of course, that's our perspective. We have to ask you, what's yours? Do you think that XDefiant is the next game that Ubisoft pulls from circulation? Do you think that Ubisoft continues to spend money on a live service game that may be costing them money at this point? Do you think that we'll see a considerable rise in season 3 and 4? And do you think that their marketing efforts are the reason that they're, suffering? Because we just haven't seen any. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments section below, or if you have any other thoughts about why this game is tanking, let us know. As always, get your game on.